This is the Kia e-Niro, the much awaited fully electric version of their popular compact crossover. It started out life as a hybrid before graduating to become a plug-in hybrid, which is still available for those not quite ready to go full EV just yet. And now there's this for those who are. And the reason this one in particular might tempt more people to do just that is its very impressive 455 kilometre range. Much like the Hyundai Kona, which launched earlier in the year, Kia have managed to bring the price of long-range electric motoring down to a much more accessible level than what it was even this time last year, with a starting price of €37,500, including current government grants. Now there is also a shorter range version available, which will still do a respectable 290 kilometres, and that starts at €33,500. But today we're going to have a look around this long-range one. One of the e-Niro's strongest points is the space you get on board. And boot space is pretty much best in class for an electric car once you take premium competitors like Jag, Audi and Tesla, which cost more than double the price, out of the equation. At 451 litres, it beats all of these more mainstream competitors, making it one of the most realistic and practical options for families looking to make the switch to electric. Not only is it a very generous size, it's also quite practically shaped with some handy hidden storage. You've got a retractable parcel shelf, which is also quite easy to remove when it's not in use. These back seats will fold nice and flat too. Now, the only thing noticeable in their absence is shopping bag hooks. What is that about, Kia? That is probably the only thing that stops this boot scoring the full 10 out of 10. Space for rear seat passengers is pretty good, with generous levels of both leg and headroom. That's my driving position. Now granted, I am only 5'6", but I reckon even a 6-footer would be pretty comfortable back here. You've also got a pull-down centre armrest complete with cup holders and a middle seat that is usable but probably still best suited to children because it's not that wide back here. Now there are no USB ports in the rear, which is a bit of a shame because they can be handy for kids charging gadgets and stuff to keep them occupied on a longer journey. But maybe you'd rather they read a book instead, and if so, at least they'll have somewhere to put them with these handy door pockets. The cabin is much calmer and a bit more basic than what you'll find in the e-Soul, which we also reviewed recently, although still very typically Kia in its no-frills functionality. It's finished in a sort of dark grey material, which we assume was intended to be a bit more interesting than black, but it's not really. And I have to say I much prefer the bright interior of the Nissan Leaf or the plug-in hybrid Niro. Nevertheless, it is nice and simple to find your way around. One of the only clues to its electric powertrain in here is this twisty dial which acts as a gear selector. And storage down here is very good as a result of that. You've got some cup holders in here, some more storage down here, another space under here to stash your bits, and a handy tray to store your phone. And yes, 2 USB ports up here at least, one used solely for charging and then one used to connect your phone to the infotainment via Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And that is standard on the e-Niro, as is wireless phone charging, sat-nav and a reversing camera. Now there's just the one trim level available in Ireland at the moment, and while it is quite generously equipped for the most part with things like heated seats and a heated steering wheel and lots of driver assisting safety features like smart cruise control and lane keep assist, there are a couple of little things again noticeable in their absence, like LED headlights, front parking sensors and a head-up display, which would be nice to see in future versions down the line. This screen is also not as big as the 10.5-inch one you'll find in the e-Soul, and the system probably not as sophisticated, although it still will give you plenty of useful information like where your nearest charging point is and what percentage battery life that you've got left, as well as all the other vitals like your tunes and infotainment. As always, I'm also delighted to see physical dials for the aircon and volume controls, which I always just find a little bit handier to use on the move. It's got the same 64 24 kilowatt hour battery as the e-Soul and the Kona EV, although somehow it's managed to eke out a slightly higher 455 kilometre range in the official WLTP tests. But like anything, that figure should very much be taken with a pinch of salt and treated like an estimate, because it can depend so much on where and how you drive it, your driving style, and even external factors like temperature can have quite a large effect. My average energy consumption for the week so far has been 15.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometres, which should make me more than capable of completing about 420 kilometres or more on the one charge. And now, depending on how long your commute is, for a lot of people that will equate to just the one charge a week at a cost of about €6 on the Night Saver electricity rates. And that is on top of all the other benefits like half-price tolls, low motor tax rate of just €120, and of course the initial €10,000 in grants off the initial purchase price. So in terms of incentives in Ireland right now, we're pretty much as good as we can be when it comes to electric cars. And the potential financial savings are very real, providing of course you can afford that higher initial purchase price. As for what it's like to drive, like most electric cars in this price bracket, it's a little bit unremarkable, although those who haven't had the pleasure of driving an electric car yet will no doubt be impressed by the novelty of its quick and silent power uptake and the whole effortless feel that comes with that. It's also got the equivalent of about 200 brake horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque available instantaneously, so it does feel very nippy and can complete 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 7.8 seconds. It's quite similar to the Hyundai Kona EV in how it handles, in that because of that big old battery pack, it's got quite a low centre of gravity, which does give it a nice planted feel, and that combined with all that power can make it quite enjoyable to drive on the right road. Although the downside is it can also make it feel a little bit fidgety over poorer road surfaces and suburban ramps, which it really does not like. The steering also lacks enough feel to be able to call it truly fun to drive. But in terms of comfort, refinement and safety features, this is just about as good as you'll get for a car of this capability at this price point. The e-Niro is a highly impressive package with more space and tech and range than almost anything out there in the market at the moment in this price range. Save for its own little brother in the e-Soul, although some would argue that that has a face only a mother could love. With its safe looks and impressive credentials, this one is probably going to appeal to a much wider audience. But would the e-Niro be enough to convince you to finally make the move to electric? And if not, then what would? Please do let us know what you think in the comment section below. Like and share if you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please hit subscribe.